In this video, we are bringing you one of the creepiest late-night horror stories you'll ever hear. So before we begin, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications for more terrifying horror stories every week. You never know which story might become your next nightmare. Now, turn off the lights, and let's begin. I missed my usual train that night. Work had run late, and the station was almost completely empty by the time I arrived. According to the schedule board, there was only one train left, 11:59 p.m., the last train home. A few people stood scattered across the platform, but something about them felt off. Nobody was talking. Nobody was looking at their phones. They were all just standing there, staring down the tracks. Then the lights overhead flickered. A moment later, the train rolled into the station. It was old, far older than any train I'd ever seen. The windows were dark, and the inside lights barely worked. The doors slid open with a loud screech. Nobody got off. The people on the platform silently stepped inside. I hesitated, but I didn't have another way home. The moment I sat down, I noticed the woman across from me. She was dressed in black and had her head lowered. She hadn't moved since I boarded. Then I looked around. Every passenger was sitting perfectly still, not blinking, not breathing, just staring straight ahead. The train started moving. My phone suddenly buzzed. I had no signal, but a message had come through. It was from an unknown number. It said, "Do not look out the window." A chill ran down my spine. I laughed nervously and looked up. Everyone on the train was staring at me now. Slowly, all at once, the woman across from me raised her head. Her face was completely pale. Her eyes were black. Then every passenger smiled. My phone buzzed again. "They're not passengers." Panic took over. I jumped out of my seat and ran toward the next carriage. But when I opened the door, there was nothing there. No seats, no lights, just a long, empty hallway that stretched into complete darkness. And at the very end, I saw someone standing there. It looked exactly like me. It slowly raised one hand and waved. The train suddenly slammed to a stop. The doors opened. I didn't care where I was. I ran out as fast as I could. When I turned around, the train was gone. The tracks were empty. The station was abandoned. The next morning, I searched online for information about the train. What I found made my blood run cold. According to an old newspaper article, the 11:59 p.m. train had crashed over 20 years ago. Every passenger on board had died. And since then, people say that once in a while, on a quiet night, the last train still arrives, waiting for one more passenger. If this story gave you chills, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more terrifying horror stories. And remember, if you ever miss your train late at night, maybe it's better to wait until morning. I used to work as a late-night delivery driver. Most orders were normal. Pizza, groceries, takeout, the usual. But there was one delivery I'll never forget. It was just after 1:30 a.m. when the order came through. The address was strange. No street name. No apartment number. Just a location pinned deep in the woods outside of town. I figured it had to be a mistake. I tried calling the customer. No answer. A few seconds later, I got a text. "Just follow the road. You'll see the house." I should have cancelled the order. Instead, I started driving. The farther I went, the worse the road became. Street lights disappeared. The GPS kept cutting in and out. Then, without warning, my phone lost all signal. A few minutes later, I saw it. An old house sitting alone in the middle of the trees. No lights, no cars, no signs that anyone lived there. I grabbed the food and walked to the front door. Before I could knock, the door slowly creaked open by itself. "Hello." I called out. No answer. I looked down and noticed an envelope lying on the doorstep. My name was written on the front. My heart started racing. I opened it. Inside was a single photograph. It was a picture of me, standing outside the house, holding the delivery bag. The photo had been taken only seconds earlier. I dropped everything and ran. As I reached my car, my phone suddenly came back to life. Dozens of missed calls, messages from my manager, one voicemail after another. I played the newest one. His voice was shaking. "Where are you? The police are here. They found your car abandoned on the side of the highway 3 days ago." I froze. 3 days. I looked at the date on my phone. It was true. 3 entire days had disappeared. Then another text message appeared. It was from the customer. "You forgot the drinks." Slowly, I looked toward the old house. The front door was still open, and someone was standing inside, watching me. I jumped into my car and sped away, never looking back. The next morning, I searched the address online. Nothing. No records. No property listing. No house. I even drove back with 2 police officers. The road was there. The trees were there. But the house was gone. The officer looked at me and asked if I was sure I had the right place. I didn't answer, because hanging from one of the trees was the delivery bag I had dropped that night, and tied to the handle was a fresh note. It only had 4 words written on it. "See you next delivery." I was 17 when I took my first babysitting job. The pay was incredible. $200 for one night. The only rule was that I had to stay until the parents came home after midnight. It sounded easy. When I arrived, the house was enormous. The couple greeted me at the door and quickly explained everything. "The kids are already asleep upstairs," the mother said. "You won't need to do much." As they were leaving, the father stopped and looked at me. "Oh, and whatever you do, don't open the bedroom at the end of the hallway." I laughed, thinking he was joking. He wasn't. "You'll know it by the red door," he said. "Just ignore any noises you hear." Then they left. For the first hour, everything was normal. I watched TV, checked my phone, and enjoyed having the huge house to myself. Then I heard it. A soft knock. 3 slow taps. Coming from upstairs. I assumed one of the kids had woken up. So I grabbed my phone flashlight and headed to the second floor. The hallway was dark. The children's bedroom doors were closed. But at the very end of the hallway, I saw it. A bright red door. As I stared at it, I heard the knocking again. This time, it was coming from behind the red door. Knock, knock, knock. Then a little girl's voice whispered, "Can you let me out?" My heart skipped a beat. The parents had told me the children were asleep. I slowly backed away and checked the kids' rooms. Both children were exactly where they should have been, fast asleep. I looked back toward the hallway. The red door was still there. Then my phone buzzed. It was a text from the mother. "Everything okay?" My hands were shaking as I typed back. "I think one of the kids is awake." A few seconds later, she replied, "The children are both with us." I froze. I turned and looked into the bedrooms again. The beds were empty. The blankets were shaped like someone was lying underneath them. But there was nobody there. Then the knocking started again. Louder this time. Bang, bang, Bang! The little girl's voice came back. Only now she sounded desperate. Please, don't leave me alone with him. I wanted to run. I should have run. Instead, I walked toward the red door. My hand reached for the handle. Just as my fingers touched it, my phone rang. It was the father. The moment I answered, he shouted, "Get out of the house. Right now. Don't open that door." At that exact second, the knocking stopped. The handle began to turn. Slowly. By itself. I didn't wait to see what was on the other side. I sprinted downstairs, threw open the front door, and ran into the street. The parents arrived a few minutes later. They rushed inside while I stood outside, shaking. When they came back out, I asked the father what was in that room. He stared at me for a long moment. Then he quietly said, "There isn't a room at the end of that hallway." I thought he was joking, until the police searched the house. The upstairs hallway ended exactly where the children's bedrooms were. So if you enjoy watching this video to this extent, please like, share, and subscribe for more amazing horror stories like this every week.